Hi, this is Ken Bailey. In the last tutorial, we went over some cropping tools and quite a few other things. So after we've cropped our image, we might want to do some doctoring to this. So one of the things you need to know how to do right off the top is your selection tools. Because you're going to have to use selection tools to make certain types of modifications to your image. So I'm going to go over some of these selection tools. Most of it will be basic, but there will be a couple of things that will be a little more advanced as we get to the end of the video. Here we go. Basic. If you look here on the left hand side, we have the rectangular marquee tool. If you hold down on this, click and hold, you will see that you have other tools in here as well. You know, single column, single row, elliptical tool, and marquee, rectangular. So what that allows you to do is just select squares, move it around, put it wherever you want it. Just click and drag. Now if you want to add to the selection, let's say you got this to the point, but yet you wanted to take it to this corner right here. You can simply hold down the Shift key and you can click and drag and add to this. See? Now if you want to take away from that, on the PC you would hold Alt. On the Mac you would hold Command. Just click and drag where you want to deselect from, and it will subtract from that selection. All the tools in here are pretty much like this, especially when it comes to selection tools. There's usually a way to add and subtract to things by just simply pushing a hotkey. So I can't stress enough about how much importance there is behind learning your hotkeys. Anyway, so as you see, that's a rectangular marquee. There are some basic settings up here on top for you to choose. You can feather it, you can anti-alias it, you can choose the style for which you can do fixed ratios, fixed sizes. If you do fixed ratio, you can do here. And when you enter in here, what it's going to do is it's going to keep it at a certain type of, it went back. Okay, let's try this again. Fixed size 64 by 64. See what's happening? You just click in here and there's just a little tiny square that shows up because it's only 64 pixels by 64 pixels. Now if I go up, let's say type 500 pixels by 200 pixels, you see that's a lot bigger. Maybe you want to just select that area right there and do something to it. This comes in handy when you're doing things for multimedia ad placement and you're building ads and things, and you need marquees and things like that selected that are specific sizes. You can do that right here. So let's go over here to elliptical tool, and you have some of the same options here. You can do fixed ratios, fixed sizes, normal, etc. If you want to add to a selection, just simply click and drag, and there you go. So you can select and add to this. So we can do Mickey Mouse. Got some Mickey Mouse ears on there. That is the basics with this. You can also have some tool options in here. A lot of things that you can try different in here. We won't go into that today, but I just want to show it to you. Also, you have these boxes here. If you hover over it, it'll tell you what it is. Like this one, if you click this, everywhere you click and drag, it's going to just keep adding to the selection. So if you go here, subtract from selection, now it's going to subtract from wherever you click and drag. And here, intersect with selection. See what happened there? So working with these tools and understanding what they do is extremely important in your workflow. So now let's move down to the lasso tool. This is another type of selection tool. If you see the little arrow right here, again, when you see that little arrow, that means there are more tools available for you in here than just the one that's showing. Just left click and hold, and you'll see the other ones that are available for you here. You can also hover over it, and if you see when you hover over it, there's an L there. Again, that's for a hotkey. You can just click L, and you get your lasso tool. Whatever is in here, that is going to show up when you click L. If you have that one selected, and you hit L, see, it just selects the one that's on top that you have currently selected. So anyway, with the lasso tool, you can just go in here and draw any way you want. And you see that it just gives you free-form selection tool. Like I can just go and draw circles around these people. If I want to get rid of them, I can just circle there and use some other tools to get rid of them. If you want to get more precise about things when using the lasso tool, like we can zoom in, and then you can go in and you can draw like this and get real close. If you get really good with it, if you're using a tablet to do this stuff, you might be a little more accurate with just drawing freehand like that. Now you have other options here with other tools. If you use the polygonal lasso tool, then wherever I click, like if I click once here, see that there's a line that follows my mouse wherever I go. It's waiting on you to click again. So click, drag, click again, click, drag, click again, and then watch. See, we got that whole thing right there selected. So you can go, and then you can also continue to add to this. Same rules apply, same hotkeys. Hold the shift key, click, drag, and just keep clicking around the area that you want to select. Hit return or enter, and you have an additional selection that is applied to that. Now you can also untick anti-alias if you just want it to be hard around the selections. We'll get more into that later, but typically you want to leave it turned on. Now you can go in and refine edges. This is a powerful tool that helps you refine your selection. Now if we show radius and do smart radius here, you can see what it's doing is it's showing you exactly how much it's feathering the pixels. So, and then you can go in, you can do soft edge, a little more contrast, feather, smooth it out a little bit. And then when you say OK, then you have a nice smooth selection. If we just do a copy and paste, then we can see what we've got. See, that's very soft in the selection there. So depending on what you're trying to do with it, you probably want it to be a lot less feathered, because this is this is pretty extreme with the feathering and how soft it is, but that just shows you the power that you have over your selections. So let's get rid of that layer, and we can go into the magnetic lasso tool. A lot of you will probably really like this because it gives you the power to be able to just go and click and you just click and hold the mouse down and just draw, and it will try to find the edges between where your brush is right there within that circle, and it'll try to find the contrasting edges and make the selection for you intelligently. And depending on how high you have your frequency setting will determine how well this is doing for you. So let's just do this, and then when you hit enter or return, then you can see what you have selected there. And then I can keep going and I can keep adding to this selection. And what I'm talking about in frequency is this guy right here. If I turn that down, it's not going to do quite as good of a job for you when this number is lower, and sometimes it's going to do too good of a job for you when it's too high. So you have to be careful with that. You just have to work with it and do it over and over and over again and get used to what works and what doesn't. So that being said, let's go and look at a couple of other ways of selecting things in Photoshop to wrap this up. So as you see, we have this selected here. Let's just deselect that by pushing Control D, and let's go over to Quick Selections. You got the magic wand and the Quick Selection tool. Now when you have the Quick Selection tool, you can see that as you draw, it's going to try to select the colors that are in relation to whatever it is you're dragging over. Come on. Deselect. So see, it's trying to keep within the green that I have selected, but it's set a little bit too high. If we use a smaller brush, it'll be a little more particular about what it's doing. So that's the Quick Selection tool. Now if we select the magic wand, when you click once, so if I click once up here in the blue, you can see it's got all this area around the blue area in the sky there. If I want to add to that, again, just hold the Shift key and click, and it'll try its best based on the tolerance level that you have set up here. Again, these are different things that you can options that you have for this particular tool. Now if I take off contiguous, let's see, okay, when you have contiguous clicked on, it's going to stay within the area that it finds the colors that are in relation to where you clicked on the canvas. If you tick off contiguous, then it's going to try to select all the green in the image. So now it's got the trees and everything in there. So that's the difference in that. And then anti-alias, just we're going to go over that more later about what anti-aliasing is, but just think of it as smoothing out your edges a little bit so that they don't look so hard. Now if I select 100% on this, it's really going to go crazy. See, it pulled a lot more in. It's a lot more sensitive to the color green. If I go less sensitive, bring down the tolerance 25%, see, it's a lot more particular about, because what it's looking at is exactly where you click that color of green. It is looking for that specific color green in that pixel where you clicked. So that's the way of thinking of that. And like I can do a copy and paste, and you can see that now I have all that green separated, and I can go in and work on this green without affecting anything else in here. So that's the way that works. Now let's move into select from the menu, color range. Now if I go here and click, you can see what it's doing is it's trying to find the colors that are in relation to where I'm clicking now. Now I can turn it on the image like that, and I can see what's going on. I can even click inside of here to select whatever color I'm looking for. And this is a different way of going about. See, you can invert it, or you can click in the image over here. So whatever it is you're trying to get a hold of. we can get all of our green. See, that's just way too much right there, so we'll undo that. And that's a pretty good way of getting a hold of see, and there's your mask. So now with that selected, if we do copy and paste, then we can see there again we have all of our green selected. So that's a quick overview of all of your selection tools, and there are still more ways of going about selecting things and refining the edges, etc. But we'll get to that in more advanced stuff. So there's selection tools in Photoshop for you.